Hi, my name is Ravi, and today we will learn how to write effective business emails. Now, email has changed the way we work, allowing us to communicate cheaply and quickly with friends, colleagues, suppliers, and other contacts around the world. Now, an integral part of a professional work environment is communication, and we usually communicate by speaking or by writing. At work, we are expected to communicate with our colleagues, clients, and supervisors over the email. So let us look into the learning objectives. In this session, we will learn about formal and informal emails and the difference between them. We will look at the email structure, that is, the mailing information, the subject line, and the body of an email. We will learn how to write professional opening salutations, titles, email closings, and structure of an email. We will also learn about the different paragraphs that an email can be divided into. We will learn how to create custom signature templates in Outlook and Gmail. We will also look at some email examples and finally end the session by reviewing basic email etiquette. Now, moving on to the next session, we will talk about the different types of emails. Emails can be formal or informal. Let us look at formal and informal emails in detail. The purpose of a formal email is for business or important messages, whereas an informal email is for informal messages. The audience for a formal email are your business and work colleagues, whereas in your informal email, your audience are your friends and family. There are times when we communicate with our colleagues on a personal level and hence we may be informal. Well, in a formal email, we need to be very professional, be accurate in spelling, take care of punctuations and grammar. Do not use smileys, emoticons, or abbreviations in a formal email. In an informal email, you can be friendly, so accuracy is not that important. In a formal email, you need to take care of how you open the email, that is, your opening salutation, your ending salutation, and the email signature. In an informal email, there are no rules, so it's your choice. In a formal email, we should not have any contractions as compared to informal emails. For example, in informal emails, I can have I apostrophe M for I am, or I apostrophe VE for I have. So please remember, in formal emails, we will not have any contractions. Let us move to the next section and look at the structure of an email. An email has different parts, and I have highlighted section 1, 2, and 3. The first section, the 2CC and the BCC, this is called as your mailing information. The second section is the subject line, and the third is the message area, that is the main body of the email, where we have salutation, where we greet the customer with the title, and then have different paragraphs explaining about the email, giving facts and additional assistance. And finally, we close the email by signing off and an appropriate signature. Talking about mailing information, that is the first section, the 2, the CC, and the BCC. In the 2 section, we write the email addresses of the person we wish to send the email. There can be multiple email addresses. However, please remember that these are people you directly involve in the reading and responding to your email. The CC, or the carbon copy. Here, we write the email addresses of all who need to be aware of the message but may not need to respond directly. They may choose to respond if they have a message to communicate. BCC or blind carbon copy. The email addresses of people that need to be copied but are hidden to all other recipients of the email. BCC should be used when you are sending a mass mail and do not want to publicize the email addresses of all the recipients. It also helps avoiding spam. The only reason to use blind copy is to keep your recipients' email addresses private. Please do not use blind carbon copy to share confidential and incriminating information with someone else. The first snapshot is from Outlook and the second one is Gmail. In the latest version of Outlook, we do not have the BCC section. Moving on to the second segment, that is the subject line. Most people are inundated with emails, so to be able to trace an email is always a challenge, and to help organize emails, the subject is the first view we have of our inbox. So please be courteous by crafting a subject line for your email that briefly describes the message. A short, well thought out subject is helpful to the recipient and may ensure your email gets opened. Remember, subject lines make a difference. Now, if your email is urgent and important and you want the recipient to read it on high priority, please do not write urgent or important in the subject line. Instead, use the high priority option provided in Outlook. It is a red exclamation symbol. I have highlighted the high priority option in the first snapshot. Now, Gmail does not have this option for outgoing mails, but you can mark it important in your inbox. The next screenshots shows us the high priority in the inbox. So this is how the high priority option looks in the inbox of the receiver. One snapshot is of Outlook I use in the web browser, and the other one is the Outlook application on my desktop. Let us look into some guidelines about subject line. Please give a reference to the project or task. Give a gist of what the body of the email contains. It may not be in a sentence form and hence may not have a period at the end. The first letter of an important word in the subject line can be capitalized. Keep your subject line to 5 to 7 words that accurately identify the topic and context of your email. Moving to the last segment of the body. The highlighted area is the body of the email and can be divided into different sections and paragraphs. The first, we have the salutation, where we greet the recipient with an appropriate title and name. Then we move to the main message area, where we write the main content with proper opening sentences. We give facts and then offer additional assistance. In this section, we can have 3 to 4 paragraphs. Finally, we close the email by signing off with a proper closing statement and then our email signature. Now let us look at each of these sections in detail. The salutation. Now, how you type your contact's name indicates the level of formality your email will portray. Always start with a salutation, noting how the sender has addressed you, how formal was their salutation, and copy the same until you are more familiar with the person. Without a greeting at the beginning of your email, you risk being viewed as bossy or terse. In the business setting, it may give your recipient the sense that you are really too busy to show some respect. So please take the time to include a hi or a hello. I have highlighted some email salutations. Hi John, hello Tim, or dear Mr. Smith. Now, hi is being increasingly used. Hi generally goes with the first name. Mostly US and Australian clients like to be addressed with their first names. Hi is not really appropriate for business emails unless you are familiar with the person you are writing to. Dear goes with the title and the last name and generally used with UK and European countries. Now, if you do not know the person's name, use the person's title. For example, Dear Director of Customer Services or Dear Director of Sales. While Dear is formal, hi and hello are more informal. So let us look at the salutation Dear in detail. Now, Dear is followed by the title and the recipient's last name. If you want to use the recipient's first name with the greeting Dear, do not use a title. You just use Dear with the recipient's first name. Let us look at the different titles in detail. For men, we use Mr. For women, we use Miss, Mrs., or Ms. Miss and Mrs. tell us about the marital status of a woman. Now, some may take offense on the usage, so it is safe to use Ms., that is MS, for women as it does not reveal the marital status. Now, another new title that has been introduced is MX, which is pronounced as mix or with a schwa, that is mex. Now, mex is a gender neutral title, that is, it is an honorific title that does not indicate the gender of the person being formally addressed. The traditional honorifics of Miss, Mrs., Ms., and Mr. all indicate the binary gender of the individual. MEX avoids specifying gender not only for persons who wish not to indicate a binary gender, that is male or female, but also for persons whose gender identity does not fit the gender binary. Among all the other gender neutral titles, MEX is the most commonly used one and is accepted by government and other organizations throughout the UK. Now, in Britain, honorifics do not end with a period, while in the United States, a period is used with the honorifics Mr., Mrs., or Ms. as they are abbreviations. So, this is the example. Now, moving on to the salutation guidelines. Please pay attention to the recipient's name and title, including the spelling of the names. For a university, these include professor or doctor, doctor for staff with the doctorates, that is, their PhDs. If you do not know the person's name, use the person's title. For example, Dear Director of Customer Services, or Dear Hiring Manager, or Dear Director of Marketing. Don't address someone by their first name unless you are on quite familiar terms with them. Usually, if someone signs off with both their first and family names, this is an indication of formality, and you should reply by addressing that person with their title and last name. If someone signs off with just their first name, they are probably inviting you to call them by their first name. But if in any doubt, use the more formal form of address. Do open with a polite address, that is Dear Dr. Smith or Dear John, etc. Don't begin formal emails with overly familiar or bizarre sounding openers. Now, moving on to the next section, let us talk about the message text. This is the main text area of the email where we write an appropriate response to the email that we are responding to or a new email that we are creating. To ensure that all our emails are appropriate and well received, we need to follow a structured approach until it becomes a habit. In this section, I will explain about the different paragraphs we may use in the text area. Now let us talk about OFAAC, that is opening, facts, and additional assistance. Now, depending on the content, an email can have one or more paragraphs. The first sentence, known as the opening sentence, and it can be a greeting if the situation allows it, like, I hope all is well with you, or thank you for your prompt response. However, for most formal emails, it is best to get straight to the point. Now, depending on the subject, you should have a maximum of 4 paragraphs, and each paragraph should contain a single point. Let us now talk about the different paragraphs in the message area. In the first paragraph, you can briefly write about the email's purpose or paraphrase the issue or introduce yourself depending on what you are writing and to who you are writing to. For example, you can start writing uh, by saying, this email is with regards to your feedback about so and so, so and so, so and so, or I am writing with reference to your advertisement or job posting, and so on. In the second and the third paragraph, you may state facts, provide a solution, give next steps, or write in detail about the main content of your email. Now, depending on the email, the third or the fourth paragraph can be a delight statement for the customer. For an example, if the email was a resolution to a complaint from a customer about a product, you can delight the customer with a discount or a coupon for future services or purchases. At the end of your last paragraph, you should provide a thank you or call to action depending on the subject of your email. Please remember, before signing off, you can use additional assistance phrases like, thank you for your assistance with so and so, so and so. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing back from you. I would appreciate if this could be taken care of promptly. Please feel free to call or email me if you have any questions. Please revert for clarification, if any. Let's look at some guidelines. Please follow the 6 C's of effective communication, that is clear, concise, complete, concrete, constructive, and correct. Follow the KISS technique, that is keep it short and simple. Complete, correctly structured, and capitalized sentences reflect proper grammar and punctuation and are crucial to your message. Be concise with your words. Be as detailed as you can in as few words as possible. If possible, try to keep your message on one screen, which is about 25 lines or less. Now, this forces you to be concise. Get to the point in the first sentence. Readers will absorb your message more readily if you avoid dragging your feet in your opening lines. Inject some air into your message by providing some white spaces. This is known as chunking. The addition of a clean line between paragraph breaks provides needed white space and prevents a reader from being repelled by a gigantic block of characters. Also, keep in mind that typing in all small or all caps may lead to misperceptions or misinterpretations. With all lowercase letters, you give your recipient the impression that they just aren't important enough for you to tap the shift key a few times. Remain in uppercase and it appears you're constantly shouting and quite possibly angry. Finally, review and spell check every message before clicking send. The extra time it takes is well worth it. Now, moving on to the closing section of the body. Like the opening salutation, the closing of a formal email can be the same as the closing to a letter. However, unlike the salutation, there are more options for a closing. By not including a proper closing, you increase the possibility that your email will be perceived as demanding or curt. Let us look at some closings that we can use. The first one is sincerely. This is considered very formal and shows some distance between you and the reader. It shows less emotion. This is very common to use in letters. Regards. It's more formal than kind regards or best regards. This is safe to use for everyday professional business communication and less for friendly business associates. Warm regards, kind regards, best and best wishes. They are popular for someone you already know in the professional setting. It is friendly and shows more emotion but still formal. It is best for people you have communicated with in the past, and it's less formal than regards. Many thanks. This one is much more polite and formal than simply saying thanks. And finally, warm wishes. This one shows friendliness but not too casual or impolite. It is appropriate to use in business with someone you have worked with before. Please use what is consistent with the tone and objective of your message. Without exception, close by including your name and signature at the end to put that final considerate touch to your emails. Let us now look at email signatures. Well, these are some signatures and autographs of famous Hollywood and Bollywood celebrities I found on the internet. Remember, this is not how an email signature should look like. Let us look at email signatures in detail. The basic syntax for an email signature will have 4 lines. The first line is your first and last name. The second line is your designation. The third line is your company name. And the fourth line is your contact details. Now, if you look at the screenshot, I have given an example of how an email signature can look. The first line is my name, that is Ravi Nityanandan. The second line is my designation, that is Soft Skills Trainer. The third is the company name, T-Connect Solutions Limited. And the fourth is my contact details, that is my phone number. We can also include a fax number if we have one. Now let us look into creating custom email signatures. Now in this slide, I will explain how to create a signature template in Outlook. When you open a new mail, on the upper right hand side, you can see I have highlighted the signature option. Once we click on that, we get a pop-up where we can set the signature template. We then click on the new button that I have highlighted and it will ask us a name for the template. I named it as Official Signature. Next, in the Edit Signature box, we can write the email signature and save it. We can create multiple signature templates and choose the one we want to use when drafting the email. We can have an automatic signature for new messages and another for replies or forwards as well. Now moving on to the signature template in Gmail. You can click on the settings button that I have highlighted on the upper right hand side of the screen, and then on the general tab, if we scroll down, we can see the option for setting our email signature. It is always convenient to set a signature template than to write it on every new mail or reply. Now let us look at some email examples. In this first example, Rahul is requesting for an internship from his professor, who happens to be a doctor at the hospital he wants to intern at. Looking at the email, do you think he will get the internship? Well, I believe he will not. It is a very casual and unprofessional email. Let us look at the subject line. It is pretty vague and does not give much information. Also, the first letter is not capitalized. The body has no spacings and is very casual with punctuations that are not required or are missing. The signature does not follow the basic syntax. Now let us modify this email. Now in this mail, Rahul has written a good subject line taking care of the punctuations. In the body, he has addressed the professor with proper salutation, title and name. He has also divided his email into proper paragraphs with proper white spaces, making it more appealing to read and also professional. The signature is apt as Rahul has followed the signature syntax. So would it be possible for Rahul to get an internship now? Or at least an interview? Well, I believe yes. It is a professional looking email following the proper indentation, grammar, punctuations, and syntax. However, I would like to know if you have noticed any error in this email. At least one. If yes, then you are correct. The first word of the message area is a contraction. Instead of writing I have, it is written as I apostrophe VE. This could have been avoided. Now moving on to the next example. The customer Anna has written an appreciation mail with her feedback, and it was responded by Swati. It is a poorly drafted email with punctuation and spelling errors, no professional opening, neither does it have proper spacing, nor does the signature follow the basic syntax. Remember, the customer has taken her time to send a feedback, and such a poorly drafted and unprofessional email gives a picture that we are not interested in her feedback and just replied as a checklist formality. Let us look at the modified email. Now Swati has followed the opening salutation, which is correct. Like I said, it is not incorrect using the customer's first name. Maybe the customer may have given the feedback using the associate's first name and Swati just matched the customer's salutation. Using the customer's first name makes the email more personal. Swati has started the message area by thanking the customer and giving a reference to the ticket number. Thanking the customer is important as the customer has taken her time to send an appreciation email. There is proper spacing between the paragraphs, spelling and punctuations have been taken care of. Swati has also written an additional assistance phrase being in line with what we had discussed. The signature is apt and has followed the syntax. Overall, it is a professional email thanking and appreciating the customer and making the customer feel special. Now the next two emails are modified emails following the module on how to write professional business emails. Now in this example, Mithil is applying for a job. Please note the naming of the attachment. It has been named properly and not vague like doc1.doc or just resume. It has some details and adds to the professionalism of the sender. Like I said, if you are not aware of the recipient's name, use the title. So in this example, Mithil was not aware of the hiring manager's name. So he addressed the recipient using the title, Dear Hiring Manager. Now in the next example, Sandita is responding to Mr. Patrick, giving reference to the ticket number. She also paraphrases the issue and tells what has been done on the issue till date. She has also taken care of the next steps and preempted further questions. Overall, a very well drafted email with all details, solutions, and next steps. Spelling, grammar, and punctuations have been taken care of. Now that's with the examples. Let us now move to a final section on basic email etiquette. Always include a meaningful heading in the subject line. Name attachments appropriately. Always address the reader in a professional manner. Do not use all caps or all small case. Be concise and polite. Always remember to use please and thank you. Always check for spelling, grammar, punctuation, and any careless mistakes. Always use paragraphs. Add a signature block at the end of the email. Keep your emails short and simple. Answer all questions and preempt further questions. Answer swiftly. Emails should be answered within 24 hours. Use proper structure and layout, that is, left indent your emails. Do not overuse the high priority and reply to all option. Please take care using abbreviations and emoticons. Now, this brings us to the end of this session. Thank you for listening and learning. Take care and have a blessed day.